Hello children, welcome back. So in the previous videos we have discussed the third chapter, ruling the countryside, and in this video let us do the end of the chapter exercises. Okay, open page number 37. So under let us recall we have match the following section. Okay, so let us complete this. So ryot, we already told you that ryot means the word used for farmer or peasant. Okay, so that means okay. And mahal, we talked about mahalwari system in which village was taken as a unit for collection of revenue. So mahal means village. And then Nij and Ryoti system. These are the two systems used for indigo cultivation. Under Nij system, the crop was grown on the land belonging to planter or the land that he takes on lease. Whereas in Ryoti system, it is a contract system. It is grown on lands owned or controlled by the farmers, and they were supplied seed and other things, and they take care of the crop and everything. Okay, so this is what we have seen, and let us go to the next page. Okay, next page, fill in the blanks. Growers of wood in Europe saw dash as a crop which would provide competition to their endings. Of course, it was indigo. So in Europe, farmers grew wood that was used as dye, blue dye, but it was not as bright and as attractive as indigo. So when they saw indigo, they realized that it is much better and provides tough competition to them. Okay, so look at the next one. The demand for indigo increased in late 18th century because of one is industrialization. We have so many factors: industrialization, then so Britain was producing cloth on a very large scale because of industrialization, and then the supply of indigo from other parts of the world reduced. So less supply from other parts of the world, other parts like Caribbean of the world. Okay, then the international demand for indigo was affected by the discovery of synthetic dyes. So indigo is a natural dye, something that we get from plants, whereas synthetic means dyes made from chemicals. Okay, so later on, because of advances in science, they invented synthetic dyes and indigo lost its importance. Okay, and the Champaran movement was against, of course, indigo plantation, indigo planters, you can say, indigo planters. So it took place in the 20th century. After Gandhi came back, this movement took place. So we already told you that the planters have moved from Bengal to Bihar. Okay, and it continued there. This indigo plantation continued for a long time there in Bihar. Okay, so let us look at the other questions. Let us discuss. Describe the main features of the permanent settlement. So we have already studied this in detail. Under the permanent settlement system, what they did was the officials surveyed the lands and they fixed revenue to be paid for that land. So if the farmer makes more money, grows more crop, he can keep the extra crop. So they thought that this will encourage people to develop the lands, bring more lands under cultivation. But the problem was that the tax was very heavy, that people found it very difficult to pay the tax. Okay, so that was the permanent settlement that was introduced in Bengal. And then what is Mahalwari system? How is it different? So in the permanent settlement, the deal was made with jamindars or the landowners, but under Mahalwari system, the tax was collected by the responsibility was given to the village headman. The entire village was taken as a unit. Okay, so he has to take responsibility for collection of tax from the entire village. Now village has become the unit for the collection of tax. Okay, and now jamindars are replaced by village headmen. Again, the same problem here as well. The taxes are very high. Now, give two problems which arose with the new Monroe system of fixing revenue. So, under this system, the Rotwari system. So, what they did was, the officials made, direct contact. So, they actually asked the peasants to pay the taxes directly to them. Okay, they eliminated the middleman, but again here also the taxes are quite high compared to what they grew on the land. So if the tax is unreasonable, nobody wants to pay the tax. Tax should be reasonable, and people should not feel it as a burden. Suppose you are feeling that the tax is a burden, then you try to find ways to escape tax. Instead of paying tax, you search for ways to escape tax. But if the tax demanded is reasonable, you don't bother paying the tax, because once you pay the tax, you can live in peace. Okay. So next question: why were the Ryots reluctant to grow indigo? Yes, we have discussed this in detail. Under the indigo plantation, under the roti system, the farmers have to grow indigo on at least 25% of their land. They were given loans and seeds, but they have to take care of everything else. The problem is that they were paid very little price for the indigo grown, and they were trapped in debts. That means whatever yield they got, whatever crop they got, that was taken away as payment for their loan, and again new loan was given. In a way, they found it very oppressive. They could never repay the taxes. Okay, and so they eventually they did not want to grow indigo. They wanted to put an end to all the contracts with the planters, and we have seen the Blue Rebellion. And finally, what were the circumstances which led to the eventual collapse of indigo production in Bengal? So we have seen what happened. So after the Sepoy mutiny, even these indigo farmers started revolting against the planters, and the British government thought that the situation is very very delicate, and they have appointed some officials also, and they said that the planters are under the Ryots are not under any obligation. If they don't want to grow indigo, they can actually stop growing that, because they did not want another revolution. Already they have faced Sepoy mutiny, so they did not want any escalation of tensions in that region. So the government allowed the peasants to drop the indigo plantation altogether. So the moment governments gave some support, all the farmers, they terminated their contracts, and indigo production in Bengal came to a halt. Okay, so these are the questions. Actually, these are not very difficult. We have discussed all of them, and then you can do this activity also. Let us do. So find out more about the Champaran movement and Mahatma Gandhi's role in it. You may read your textbook; it is there in your book, or you can wait until I go to that topic. Okay, it is an important movement, because after Mahatma Gandhi came back from South Africa, it is one of the first movements in which he actually took direct participation. Okay, and finally the last one: look into the history of either tea or coffee plantations in India. See how the life of workers in these plantations was similar to or different from that of workers in indigo plantations. Of course, if you have any sources, you can go through this. See, these plantations are very oppressive. So what happens in this plantation type of cultivation is that more labor is required. Lot of people are required. They were paid very little wages. They were made to work for a very long periods, and they were fed very poorly. They worked almost like slaves. Okay, so the same is the situation with coffee and tea plantations as well. Okay, so if you have interest, you can actually search for some information on this. And one more thing is that I have given link to a video on how indigo was produced. I did not explain the process of indigo production. It is there in your textbook. It is explained in detail, but I did not go through that. My advice is, please look at the other video. You will find it in the playlists. So go to playlists, and in 8th class playlists you will find a video on how indigo is produced. Of course, this video was made recently. It's not a video of how indigo was made in 19th century. Okay, it is a recent video, but the process is very similar. And actually you understand much better watching this video than from the explanation given in your textbook. Okay, so in case you are curious on how this indigo is produced from plants, you please watch this video. It's very well made. Okay, so that's it. We have come to the end of this third chapter. I expect you to go through all these videos, read the textbook, and ask me any questions or doubts that you have in the Google Meet that will start very soon. Okay, so thank you, and see you in the next video. Bye.